Mika. I remember the first time meeting her right after birth, seeing her chubby cheeks, which took us all by surprise because we were told that she was going to be little and we weren't expecting her to be chubby anywhere. And she had chubbiest little cheeks and she let out a big scream, which we also were surprised at.
Welcome to Still a Part of Us, a place where moms and dads share the story of their child who was stillborn or who died in infancy. I'm Winter.
And I'm Lee. We are grateful you joined us today. Please note that this is a story of loss and has triggers.
Thanks to our lost parents who are willing to be vulnerable and share their children with us.
If you're listening to this podcast, just know that on our YouTube channel there are pictures and videos that are related to the stories that are being shared.
Subscribe and share it with a friend that might need it and tell them to subscribe. Why? Because people need to know that even though our babies are no longer with us, they're still a part of us. Welcome to Still a Part of Us. I am so excited to talk to Vanette today. She reached out to me and we are actually, this is something that happens occasionally where we have a really big time difference. So Vanette it's nighttime for her. It is morning for me. And she is, and I'll have her introduce herself and where she's at. But thank you so much, Vanette, for reaching out to us so that you can tell Mika's story. So welcome.
Thank you. It's such an honor.
Yeah, I'm so pleased that were willing to come and chat about your daughter. So, can you
thank
tell
you
us
for having me.
Yeah. Will you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what your family looks like right now, and where you're located, so everybody knows why we have such a huge time differential.
Yeah. Well, I'm Vanette, and we are located in Australia, in Brisbane. In my family, there's my husband, Amaki, and we have Elias, who's our 6-year-old eldest boy, Akira, who's our 4-year-old, and then we've had Mika, and we have one due in June.
Oh, you
It's
do?
on the way.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. This is very, like, you sound like you have just a full family. We were actually just talking right beforehand of what she had for dinner, and she's like, the kids just love this. And yeah, it makes for, it's very fun with little kids.
Yes, busy and chaotic, but fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what do you guys like to do as a family?
What do we like to do? We love just going out. We live in an estate with lots of parks
Mm.
around us,
Mm-hmm.
so we love going out. The kids love scootering and riding their bikes and just playing. And we love going to the beach.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
bet.
yeah, yeah,
So keeping busy with the kids, it sounds like, and being together with the family.
yeah, yeah.
Wonderful. That is wonderful. And so, just as to kind of jump into your story and Mika's story, it sounds like you guys have planned on having a family. Like you've had a couple of your two older kids, and was Mika part of the plan as well?
Well, funny you ask because for a time, no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we weren't sure what the plan was, and after 2 we knew we wanted 2, but after 2 we felt pretty comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
very content with our boy and girl, and
Yeah.
um, I got an IUD, a marina in,
Yeah.
and, that lasts 5 years, so I was like, "Yeah, okay." Like, we didn't have a timeline of if we're gonna
Right.
take it out, but, um, so, yeah, in my heart, wanted another one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of 3 girls, and it was fun growing up with
It's yeah.
as 3, and my husband is one of 5, so he's got lots of siblings too. So we always agreed on 3 before kids, but then
Okay.
after having 2, we thought, "No, this is good. This is a good number, good
Right.
ratio.
Right.
Parent-children ratio is good,
Yes. Yes.
1-on-1." But then my heart and my head just battled every day.
Mm.
Every single day battled. My heart wanted another one, just wanted to hold another one of our own
Yeah.
babies.
Yeah.
But then my head would try and come in and put some fear in and say, no, do you really want to break this bliss that you have of one-on-one, and
Yeah.
it's going to cost more, and then you have to upsize your car, all those pathetic worldly
I was like
things that don't.
logical, like
Yeah,
logistical
yeah,
things.
yeah. So yeah, it wasn't always the plan, but we had quite an encounter, both Maki and I, before Mika was conceived.
Mhm.
It's I don't know if you want me to tell the story here
Yes,
of how.
I
Yeah,
we'd love to hear it because that's part of
yeah.
her story. So,
Yeah, it is. It's the start of her life, really. So, my husband's in the military,
uh-huh.
so he was away on a training exercise for 8 weeks,
Okay, for a
and
long time then.
um,
That's kind of a long time.
yeah, yeah, and we had no contact. He didn't have his phone on him. There was no reception, so we had no contact for this duration. And when he finally got to call us, we were just catching up, and he told me he was on picket duty, which is like nighttime guard duty, where
Okay.
they just
Yeah.
guard the area they're in. And it was 2 a.m. and he was just staring out to the middle of nowhere. It was just the bushes and him and the stars, and he had a vision that came to him, and it was like a series of pictures
Uh-huh.
that came out into his head. And he said it started with Elias and Akira, our kids, playing around my pregnant belly, and then slowly it was us with a baby girl,
Wow.
and
What
we're
wow.
sitting on our at home on our couch, cuddling. And yeah, and then he said he thinks he'd like another one.
Oh,
And at this point, I had been, solo parenting for 8 weeks, and
yes.
was very much close to accepting that I'm done with two. Like, this is good. I can't do
Yes.
another one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he told me that, and my reply was something like, "Don't, no, don't do this to me now." Yeah, it was. I was very in denial that
Yeah.
we might go there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but he left that decision up to me. He said, I would love to, but if you're the one that's carrying, so
Yeah.
it's up to you. So I was very torn because my heart did want another one. And we left that conversation, and it kind of wasn't brought up again. But fast forward a few weeks, he's back home,
Mhm.
and we went to a church event,
Mhm.
a service, a special service called Encounter Night, and there was just worship. There was a
Yeah.
worship band on
Yeah.
playing, and the pastor prompted us to just pray. And I started praying, and I was praying just for Amaki and I. I think I was praying specifically for our marriage at that time, and I suddenly hear a voice in my head, in my ears, but like just very audible to me.
Yeah.
And the voice said, "Take out your marina." And it was, it wasn't my voice. It was like a deep, clear, like almost like a command,
Yeah.
but not scary.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain. And I knew in that moment that was God's voice. Like my soul knew it.
Yeah.
My spirit knew that He had spoken to me. And just started tearing up. And I said, "But I'm scared, Lord."
Yeah.
And all these fears came rushing back. And He said, "I will be with you."
Hmm.
And it was just in that moment, hearing that was so comforting. It was like a supernatural peace.
Yeah.
Just all of the fear disappeared in that moment. I couldn't, I, I just knew that I would be okay. Whatever was happening, well, I didn't expect what would happen. But no, I was thinking we're going to have three and I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just knew that it was going to be okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that really settled the battle between my heart and my head.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
is a beautiful experience.
Yeah, it was it was my first time
Mm.
having an encounter, hearing God. And I've always heard people say, God told me this, but I just I don't can't relate to that because I don't know how you can hear,
Mhm.
but yeah, it really was. I heard, and it
Very
wasn't my voice, it wasn't my thought. I was not thinking about a baby in
yeah.
that moment, and it was so specific. Take your Marina out,
Yeah. That's
like
very specific. It's
okay,
like, "Oh, okay."
yes, yeah, yeah,
Wow. That
yeah,
is yeah, that gives me chills. I'm just like, "Wow, that is" yeah, 'cause yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
Gives me chills when I think about it still.
yeah.
Yeah, and every moment of struggle or hardship that we've gone through since then, those words, "I will be with you,"
Yeah.
is just so cemented, such a foundation for me now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he always pulls through.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
true, and I do think that God he knows what we're capable of, um,
Yeah.
or the things that we need to go through or
Yeah.
experience to be who he needs us to be. I don't know. That's just
100%. No,
for
yeah,
me too.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you tell your husband, Akira, what you had heard, or
Um,
and I
I
just said
did on
his
the
name
drive
wrong.
home.
I said his name wrong. I said your daughter's name, didn't I?
I thought they're very similar. The class
Yeah.
Amaki is his name.
Amaki. Yeah.
Yeah. I did tell him on the way home.
Um,
Yeah. And even when I was telling him, I remember feeling like, oh, but like all the buts were coming back, creeping
right.
in.
Right.
And then I just to remind myself, like I just experienced God speak to me clearly,
Yeah.
and just to remind myself to surrender those fears and trust that it would be okay
Yeah.
because he would be with me. And we prayed for 2 days, and Amaki he was on board. He was like, yeah,
I had my
um,
vision.
yeah. But also had the same kind of logical fears as well. Like, is this the
Yes.
right thing to do for our family? Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of a corrupt world to bring
Yeah.
up kids, but then God wants us to procreate, like, and to raise kids in the right way.
Mhm.
Um, so we prayed, and the word that kept coming up for both of us when we would pray was surrender,
Mm.
which wasn't like a word that we used a lot
Yeah.
in our lives or had.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that word just kept coming up for both of us. And when I told him that was the word that I kept getting when I prayed, it's like, me too.
Huh.
And we said, well, we know what that means. Like not to surrender, like give up. Yes, to surrender our fears
Yeah.
and our anxieties and our daily worldly worries, to surrender those to God because He's so much bigger than that.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
He can handle all that if we have faith in Him.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
That is
yeah.
that's a really I think a really cool way for Mika to start. Honestly, I think that is
Yeah,
it's
yeah. You
beautiful.
can't skip that part of her
No.
story because yeah, that's definitely how it happened.
Yeah.
And even before she was conceived, that
Yeah.
was
Exactly.
yeah, it started there.
Things started to
Yeah,
be put into place. I know because sometimes we need convincing to do things.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So then
And
after
go
yeah,
ahead. Oh, I was sorry. I was
um,
going to say, tell me what you did after that then.
yeah, yeah. After we had that conversation, we agreed. I booked in for my marina removal that week, and by Friday that week, my marina was out, and I was like, "Yeah, it'll take my body, a few cycles
Hmm.
maybe to get back regulated."
Right.
Um, and then 2 months later, I was going on a girls' trip, and I was like, "Should probably check just in case because we might be drinking." And I checked, and I was very surprised to see that it was positive.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
Yeah.
quick.
And I was like, why was I surprised?
Yeah.
But yes, yeah, it was a blessing. So I know so many people have,
Yes.
troubles.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like, yeah, when God has a plan, he doesn't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
That is like so quick and yeah, but you're right. I think when things are put into place, then it is ready to go.
yeah. Yeah. So it was another confirmation um that what we were doing was what we were meant to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I calculated back and I was already 7 weeks pregnant then. So then
Oh,
it was only a month after I took out the marina that
yeah.
we
That
got
you got
pregnant.
pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty quick.
Yeah.
Did you were you feeling sick or anything? Not
No,
not necessarily.
not
Okay.
really. I was just very hungry.
Oh,
And,
okay. Okay.
when you're hungry, when you're pregnant, you feel a bit nauseous.
Yes.
I had that hungry nausea. If I was
Yeah.
hungry, I was nauseous.
Yeah.
But
Oh.
that only lasted until 8 weeks,
Oh, okay.
very fortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
not bad then.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was a really great pregnancy. It was probably the best pregnancy
Oh,
I've
really?
had. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man, that's
Which is
great.
another blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Vanette, did you just took a test as almost an off chance of like, I'll just check because I'm going on this trip.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
tell your husband? Did you tell your family? Like, how did that
Yeah.
go?
I told my husband that night.
Mm.
And yeah, he wasn't surprised. Yeah, he wasn't surprised.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excited, like, okay, we're doing this again. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we knew it was happening. It was gonna happen, but it's happening now.
Yeah.
So yeah. And yeah, we told our family. We're pretty close with both sides of our family, so
Okay.
we told everyone pretty early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Did you tell your kids too? I know that they would have been a bit younger, so
Yeah.
sometimes the kids don't quite
5.
understand everything.
Yeah. Yeah, they were 5 and 3.
3,
Yeah,
okay,
when we
yeah.
had Mika. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just 8 months ago
Yeah, that you had
that we
Mika,
had
right?
Mika. Yeah.
So, they were still little, but
Yeah.
were they excited to have a baby
They were
brother or
very
sister?
excited. Yeah. Yeah. And fighting over if they were gonna have a boy or girl,
Right, right.
sibling. Yeah. Yeah.
That's so fun. So I'm assuming you booked a doctor's appointment
Mhm.
for maybe after your trip and just to kind of confirm things, or how does it work in regards to those first few
Yeah.
visits in Australia?
So in Australia, you go to your GP
Mm-hmm.
to confirm that you are pregnant. So it's usually a blood test.
Yeah.
Um, and a urine test as well.
Okay.
So once that is confirmed, then you can book for a dating scan.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
based, yeah, based on how. So they count back to your last period, or
Right.
based on your CG levels
Yes.
to see
Okay.
if you're past like the 6 week mark, and
Mm-hmm.
then you can book for a dating scan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So
that's an ultrasound where they will check to see, look at the egg and or the egg sac and
yeah,
that type of thing.
yeah, yeah. It's basically to check the heart, if that
Mm-hmm.
there's a heart rate, and to check your dates are in line with your cycle.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome. And so you
yeah,
how did those go?
yeah. Those went well. We brought the kids along with us
Oh, you
naively,
did?
like we did, we did.
Awesome.
The kids came along and they saw that little heartbeat tickering away,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was fun. It was great. I have a nice photo that my husband took of myself lying on the ultrasound bed and my
Mhm.
daughter lying next to me with her tummy out as well.
That's the cutest thing ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Very cute. So yeah, that went well. They didn't find anything concerning there.
okay.
So we just went on with the pregnancy.
Okay. And you were feeling okay. I mean, obviously a little nauseous at the beginning.
Yeah.
but that kind of passed afterward. Were you would do you go in for kind of regular visits? I know that at the very like in the United States anyway, it is not
Yeah.
as often at the very beginning just because there's not a lot going on, and
Yeah.
so we just kind of go in for 10-week or so appointment, and then every I think month until the 20-week scan, something like that. Is that
Yeah,
is that
exactly. That's
similar?
pretty much the same.
Okay.
Here you can opt for it's optional. You can go in for the nuchal scan, which is
Oh,
to
uh-huh.
test for Down syndrome and whatnot. But we didn't do that. We
Okay.
haven't done that for any of our previous pregnancies. So yeah, it is quite a big gap. And the next one's 20 weeks.
Right.
So
Right.
from 7 weeks to 20 weeks was kind of like not much,
Yeah.
just waiting around. But I had hired a private midwife because I wanted to have a home birth.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I had started appointments with her, so
Mhm.
she would come to my house, and we'd have appointments there and just chat, and she'd do some Doppler checks when
Mhm.
she could, when baby was big enough to find the heartbeat with the
Right.
Doppler.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do remember around 18 weeks, I hadn't felt any kicks yet. And
Okay.
usually I feel them around 16 weeks with my
Okay.
previous two.
Mhm.
So I just was a bit unsettled. Like I
Mm.
just had this feeling, some mum instinct feeling that just wanted to hear that, or
Yeah.
to hear the heartbeat, or to feel something. And so the midwife came and she scanned for the heartbeat, and it was there.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah,
Your fears were allayed, like you were okay after hearing.
yes,
Okay.
yes. But I was just reading back on my diary just before we started chatting,
Mhm.
and I wrote during my pregnancy that I just had this like kind of unsettled feeling,
Mhm.
like just a bit more anxious about this
Yeah.
pregnancy for some reason, which I normally am not like that
Yeah.
with my pregnancies. So, and I couldn't really explain why because I didn't have any reason at that point to be
Right.
anxious. But yeah,
I've always in talking to a lot of moms, it feels like there's the mom instinct is there because there's always something they say where like I should have known there was something going on because I felt this, and
yeah,
you just don't like I have no reason to think or feel this way, but
yeah,
it's
exactly. Yeah,
it ends up coming out. Yeah.
yeah,
So then your next kind of big milestone visit would be the 20-week scan, and is that
yeah,
right?
yeah. So that scan, can the morphology scan we call it here,
Mhm.
is it can be done anytime from 19 weeks till 22 weeks.
Right.
And me being like a third time mom, I was very relaxed with the timing. I was like,
Yes.
"No, it doesn't have to be like 19 weeks. Like
Yeah.
I've done every other time. I can wait."
Mhm.
So we waited until, it was a good time for my husband to get off work and
Yeah.
me to go in, and we just walked in. So it was 22 weeks. We
Okay.
waited until all the way till 22 weeks.
Okay.
And yeah, we just sat there in the waiting room,
Mhm.
joking around, having fun. It was all very lighthearted after work for both
Yeah.
of us. And yeah, went in, and I I was just watching the sonographer scan me very intently. Like again, I'm normally not like that. Like they'll just usually just scan and say, this is the
Right.
head, and this is the legs, and this is the heart,
Yeah.
and I'm like, yeah, just fine with it. But this one, I was really watching her scan and watching, so it was almost like I was looking that there wasn't a
For
hole or there wasn't
yeah.
something missing. Yeah,
Interesting.
again, that mum
Yeah.
instinct.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
was the ultrasound technician were they being particularly quiet? Because I know that some technicians are pretty chatty about things and yeah,
yeah,
essentially doing a
yeah,
tour of the baby.
yeah.
How was he or she acting?
No, she played it off really cool. She acted fine. She just scanned around and showed us the heart, all the organs, all the
Mhm.
normal measurements that they would normally do. She did all of that. And then she said, "Why don't you go empty your bladder and we'll see if we can get a better view. And I was like, oh, okay.
Okay.
Like, and that, I mean, that's pretty standard. Like,
Yeah.
they often ask you to empty your bladder, but it's like better view
What?
of
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
And like, it was all in my head, and I was just, a bit unsettled and thinking a lot. So I went and I was praying in the toilet, like, God, please just let my baby be whole and perfect and healthy. And I came out, and I don't know why I prayed that, because there wasn't real, like, at that time I didn't know why I prayed that.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't really she didn't give me a sign to be worried.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, after that I went back to the room, and there was another lady
Oh,
standing there with
okay.
her this time, and she introduced herself as the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a nurse, so I know when a doctor's introduced, something's wrong.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just started crying as soon as she said she was a doctor.
Yeah.
And my husband's sitting there like,
What is up? Yeah.
everything okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she said, we have some major concerns with your baby. Their skull has not closed over. And so the brain is exposed to amniotic fluid. Yeah. And I just cried,
Yeah.
cried, and cried. And she said, between the sobs, I asked, are they going to live?
Yeah.
And because we weren't finding out the gender, so I didn't know if it was a boy or girl at this stage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she said, no, there's no life outside utero. And I just remember those words just broke me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just,
So
yeah.
those moments you can't really forget.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you get the news, it's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah. 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 Just really, really shocked and not expecting. I mean, no one's ever expecting
Mm-mm.
news like that. But yeah, we were really blindsided, like having two healthy kids before and hearing your baby has no chance. Like, I asked if there any chance, like, is there anything we can do? She said no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. It's a very helpless feeling.
yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Was Marky was he understanding what was happening, what would happen to your baby also? I mean, it really does help when you're in the medical field. You just kind of pick up on a lot more things and a lot more signals.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. I just asked a few questions. I think it was just such a shock for him. He
yeah.
didn't really have any questions in that moment. He held it all together so well. I
Hmm.
don't know how he didn't cry in that room while I was, a mess.
Yeah.
But yeah, after that, they kind of left us in the room to just process, and we stayed there, and I cried for, I don't know how long that was. Like, time just, I don't know. Yeah, and when we left and went to the car park and sat in the car, and we just sat there in silence, and that's when he finally cried. And yeah, we both just cried.
Yeah.
So then because we both just finished work, we both drove separately there. So then
Oh,
had to both go back in our cars separately and drive home
yeah.
separately. But he called me so that we could stay on the phone at least.
Okay.
It was mostly just silent and crying.
Yeah.
But, then I started thinking of what this meant, and like trying to
Yeah.
imagine what this would look like, and what was the next step. And yeah, so
Did they
yeah,
did the doctor tell you what options there were or what the next steps could be?
they said, like, she would send the results back to my GP
Okay.
and to book an appointment. And she'll try and call the GP today to let them know. So yeah, I booked an appointment for the next day with
Gotcha.
my GP, and yeah, she kind of said listed out my options, and terminating the pregnancy. I think that is what most people go to,
Mm-hmm.
the option. I think that is most common here in Australia, at least. And
Mm-hmm.
based on my research, I think throughout the world, it's the most common decision that people make.
Right.
And even for us, like we didn't know at that stage what we were going to do. And she kind of outlined that if we kept continuing with the pregnancy, there would be increased risks to myself because I'd have to dilate more to give birth. And
Okay.
yeah, I feel like she probably was more lenient towards also us terminating,
Mm-hmm.
but she wasn't direct, which I'm grateful for. She wasn't like, you have to do this, or
Okay.
this is what you should do. Yeah. So we left that appointment and we didn't really know what we were gonna do. We had a chat in the car again, and like he said, or he just asked two things. Like, I can make the final call, but he just wants has two wishes, and that's just that I am not hurt, like,
Mm.
or go through as little harm as possible,
Right.
and that the baby also doesn't have to suffer,
Yeah.
like suffers as little as possible.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Okay.
then logically, I was like, well, that probably means we terminating. Is that what we're gonna do? Like, is there any point in continuing the pregnancy? Like, I was really torn. Honestly, I was really torn. And then coming from a biblical kind of view,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to I wanted to just know what this all meant, especially with us having such clear directions from God. I felt like both of
Yeah.
us, like he had a vision and I had like heard God tell me to do this. So why? Like, why is this happening?
Right.
So we decided to go and speak to our pastor at church,
Mm-hmm.
which we were very new at this church. We had just moved into the area and found a new church, and um, just met just met these new wonderful people
Yeah.
and told them that we're pregnant.
Yeah.
And like, the maybe it was a couple weeks. This was a
Oh,
couple weeks later.
after.
We were like to our pastor, yeah, this is the news we've got.
Right.
And he was amazing. He was so compassionate, so empathetic and understanding. And we asked some really hard
Yeah.
questions. We asked
Yeah.
all those things, like, why does God make babies like this? And like, is it wrong for us to terminate the pregnancy? Um, and he was so wise, and saying this is not something that us humans can understand. And if God wants us to understand, then one day we will. But whatever decision we make, we're not going to be judged for.
Yeah.
Um, and like, just really understanding of what a hard time and what a hard decision it is
Yeah.
to make. Yeah. So, and then he prayed over us and we all cried. We were all just um, in tears during that time and came out feeling so much lighter.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, and we still didn't know what we were going to do, but it just felt lighter. And Mike and I, even walking to our cars afterwards, like, we were joking around and had a little laugh. Like, normally probably wouldn't
Yeah.
expect a couple to be laughing the day they find out that their baby's not going to live.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was this piece that we couldn't really explain
Right.
um, amongst it all. So yeah.
Hmm.
So we went home and I I just didn't know. Yeah, still didn't know. I think at that point we were leaning probably towards terminating.
Okay.
But that was thinking logically again. And
Right.
I knew in my spirit that it didn't sit very well with me,
Mm.
but my logical brain was trying to justify.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you're trying to find the right next step. And I mean,
Yeah. Such
when
a
you
hard
like,
time navigating that.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
But like you said, with your logical brain, you're like, okay, well, it makes sense to do this and it makes sense to do,
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. And also to protect our kids.
Yes.
from
Yeah.
going through that and not knowing if this was going to be too traumatic for them and would they understand
Hmm.
and how will they process this. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes, so many things to consider in the situation, and it's not. Yeah, it's not an easy discussion to
yeah,
have. Or yeah.
yeah. I think the hardest parts of all of this, one of the hardest, is talking to our kids
Hmm.
about it and just thinking for them, just worrying for them how this will affect them and how sad it is for
Yeah.
them. Anytime I thought about telling my kids or talking to them about it, it just broke my heart to tell them that they won't be able to bring their baby
Yeah.
sibling home and they won't, won't be able to feed them their dummy like they do with their babies. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
And little
that
kids,
was,
they just get so excited. They just get so
yeah,
excited for a
yeah.
sibling, and
But
so
they
yeah.
surprised us so much with how resilient they are. Like it's really taught us how strong kids really are.
Hmm.
They just accept things and move
Yeah.
on, and they're so fine with what you tell them
Yeah.
and the faith that heaven, like when I told them that Mika's in heaven, she's with Jesus, and like we'll get to see her again. And when we're in eternity with Jesus, we'll be with her forever.
Hmm.
And they just accept that.
Yeah.
And they're not like, what? Like
Yeah.
doubtful.
Yeah.
Their faith is so strong. It's so inspiring and so reassuring. It's like, yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. You don't need to doubt.
Yeah.
And they just move on with their life. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
They're like, okay, I get. Mom told me this, and this is it's gonna work out.
Yeah.
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 I know. I was like thinking about when we told our daughter too, and it just and how she talks about her brother all the time, and just how loving and yeah, faith filled our kids are.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I was gonna ask and say, did you end up? I guess you probably made a decision and then talked to them, or um.
No, actually, the day we found out,
Mhm.
we had to tell them because I was a mess.
Oh
I
yeah,
came
they're like, "What's
came
wrong,
home and
mom?"
I was,
Yeah.
yeah, couldn't stop crying. And they're very, like, especially my son, he's very in tune,
Mhm.
very soft-hearted,
Yeah.
and he just could tell us, and he asked, and we just decided we were going to be transparent with them. We were going to let them know, like, to a certain degree of um
Yes.
that's appropriate for their age. But yeah, we told them that we had a scan, and that they found that the baby's head wasn't growing very well, and we don't know what that means yet. We don't know if we'll get to bring baby home or if you'll meet baby. And they had
S
their questions, and we
Yeah,
just tried to answer as honestly as we could. Yeah, I'm
that's hard.
glad we did that. Yeah,
Yeah. No, but I like you said, some transparency is really good because I was gonna say, I'm like, that probably helped you kinda organize your thoughts too about, um,
yeah,
what to do, maybe.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah. It
I was
did.
like, "Oh, this is not a decision I would want to make, honestly."
Yeah. I was really glad, like, I felt like we got through it as a family because
Mhm.
they knew
Yeah.
the truth, and they knew what we were going through as parents. And, if I was sad, then they would ask me, like, "Are you sad about baby?" Yeah. Well, not soon after we decided to find out the gender, and we
Okay.
named her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was wondering, I was like, "Oh, okay, so you did find out then." And did you have so tell me how you guys came upon the name Mika when you found out she was a girl.
We had a list, a names list,
Mhm.
kind of loosely, and Mika is derived from the name Michael, which
Mm.
is
Mhm.
one of the angels that's
Yes.
closest to God.
Mhm.
And so we thought that was fitting.
Yeah.
That would be fitting for her. And yeah,
It's
yeah.
That's
So
beautiful.
yeah, and I just wanted a really cute name to remember
Yeah.
her by.
It's
Yeah, we had
really a cute name.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
That's
So,
awesome.
we found out, I think, within 2 or 3 days after we got the diagnosis,
Mhm.
because we were urgently transferred to major hospitals
Mm,
to get confirmation, to see the maternal fetal medicine team,
okay.
at our local, mother's hospital.
Mhm.
So, yeah, we decided we'll find out the gender so we can connect better during the pregnancy with whatever time that we have left
Yeah.
with the baby. So we found out it was a girl, and of course, it was going to be a girl.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Your
like
daughter was
just
probably so excited.
yeah, yeah, and the vision that Amaki had.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know why I we were guessing on the way to the hospital what we thought it would be, and I guessed boy,
Mhm.
but I always get it wrong,
Yeah.
and my husband always gets it
Gets it right.
right.
That's
Yeah,
so funny.
yeah, yeah. So yeah.
Oh, so they at that confirmation scan that they also checked the gender at that time. They didn't do it at the other
Um,
scan.
we at the morphology scan, 22 weeks one, we told them we weren't finding out,
Okay.
so they purposely didn't tell us.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but then a few days later, because of the circumstances, we decided to just find out,
Yes.
and yeah, so yeah,
Wonderful. That's really it is kind of fun because then you got to name her and refer to her
yeah,
as Mika. So I think that's
yeah,
lovely.
yeah.
So when you went to that confirmation scan, what did they tell you at that time? Was there any more information that they gave you?
Um, yeah, I one of my big questions was, would I be able to birth naturally again? Because I have with my previous two, and it's important for me.
Mhm.
Like I love the labor and birth
Mhm.
process, and I really wanted to go through that with Mika
Mhm.
as well. And they said yes, like they would encourage me to have a vaginal birth,
Yeah.
and especially knowing that my body can do it,
Mm.
it's safe to,
Yes.
it's safest to go that route, because if we opted for cesarean, it could limit the time that we have bonding, because they
Yes.
don't know, if I was to continue carrying her and go full term,
Mhm.
they don't know how long we'd have. They told us minutes, like if they make it through labor,
Yes.
which a lot of times they don't.
Mhm.
But if they do, then it could be minutes that
Very
you have,
short.
or hours.
Yes.
Very rarely days.
Mhm.
So it was just very unknown,
Yes.
and yeah,
But they did say that you would have better chances during a vaginal birth. Well, and I was gonna say cesarean is like you're getting stitched up and there's
yeah, yeah,
it's a bit
yeah.
complicated.
Yeah, yeah. They didn't specifically say cesarean would decrease the time that
Mhm.
she would have
Mhm.
alive. It was more time spent me lying down getting stitched up rather
Yes.
than being able to have her on me bonding.
Right. Right.
So yeah. So
Okay.
they encouraged us to, if I wanted to have a vaginal birth, then to do that. And yeah, that was something that, yeah, I asked.
Okay. Did you feel like you had a little bit more direction from there then?
Yeah. The other thing was that we had a family holiday
Mm.
booked in 3 weeks' time from there to Japan for
Okay.
3 weeks.
Okay.
Um,
And you were about
so
what? So you were closer to what,
20,
24 weeks or so? 23,
yeah, so
24.
I was 22 weeks, and when we were leaving for Japan, I was going to be 25
Okay.
weeks.
Okay.
So they were like, if you want to do a termination, you can do it now.
Mm.
But I just felt like that was just too rushed. Like I couldn't make up my mind that soon,
Right.
and then give birth and be postpartum and go to Japan and try to
Right.
enjoy our family holiday.
Yeah.
So I said, no, I'm gonna continue until, like, I'm gonna continue with the pregnancy throughout our trip, and they gave me all clears for that. So
Okay.
yeah, that was good. And after, I think it was after that appointment, I went home and I was showering. I know I was just before showering, I was doing research, going down the rabbit hole of research and
Yeah.
reading stories and seeing if there were any survival chances, anyone with like a miracle story. And
Mm-hmm.
I came across a mother who had written a blog about her daughter who was diagnosed with the same
Mm-hmm.
condition. And at the time of diagnosis, they were telling her to terminate the pregnancy and that there was no chance at all for survival. And the anencephaly was quite severe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she decided to carry on with the pregnancy. And at the time that she wrote that blog, her daughter was 2 years old.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah. So that just sparked a bit of hope in me
Yeah.
that I,
Yeah.
that I didn't have, because up until this point, all I had heard was there is no survival
Right.
outside of utero.
Mm-hmm.
And like I couldn't imagine what not having a complete skull, like not having the back of your head would
Yeah.
look like. Like how would someone survive? And one of the doctors said there's no brain at all.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a really bizarre scene for a parent to imagine their child, or anyone to imagine someone with like an open skull with no
Yes.
brain. But that wasn't the case. I'll tell you after when we get to the birth. But yeah, it wasn't, as dramatic as it sounds.
Right.
At least not in our case. But yeah, as this mother had, yeah, when her daughter was able to show emotions, she was showing joy,
Oh,
and grief. Like she was able to cry and she was able to smile, and had lived for 2 years at this
yeah.
point. So, and then I went to shower after that and I prayed again, and I suddenly just knew that we had to keep going. And
Okay.
after that after that decision, I felt so much better.
Mm.
Just so much heaviness lifted off
Yeah.
my heart, and almost excited. Like
Mm.
excited that I get to carry her, and I don't have to say goodbye and like end her life on my terms because,
Yeah.
yeah, of my own worries, but to just let her have her life. Like this is her life. Like her life in my womb is her life.
Mm-hmm.
It could be the entirety of her life here on earth, but it is her life, and we have no right to just end it. Yeah. That's how I kind of like that realization came to me.
Right.
And I brought it to my husband, and I was a bit nervous bringing it to him, but
Mm-hmm.
I was so set on it. And I brought it to him, and he took it so well. I was really relieved
Mm-hmm.
that he was on board, and yeah, we so
He had,
continued.
I was going to say, he probably was letting you kind of make that decision, or did he have any opinions about if you should carry or if you should terminate the pregnancy?
I think leaning more towards terminating.
Mm-hmm.
I think just as a husband and a father, he probably didn't want to see his wife suffer
Suffer. Yeah.
and see his child suffer. Like if she was born at term, like we didn't know what that would look like. Would she
Right.
have pain, and
Right.
like what she might look like? Like he didn't want to see her in a way that wasn't the perfect image that he
Yes.
had of her,
Yeah. I
which
see.
is very understandable.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was quite open to me when I explained how I was feeling with carrying.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it
Because
was
I
very
know.
exciting after that.
Yeah. I was going to say husbands are, at least my husband was like, I want to make sure that, like you said, you're safe and there's
Yeah.
Those are primary,
Yeah.
concerns, I think, for husbands these are big
Yeah.
decisions. So that's why I'm like, good for him for
Yeah.
being so supportive and so like,
Yeah.
yeah, let's do this.
Yeah. So I was very excited,
Hmm.
and I decided we would just treat this pregnancy
Like,
as my previous ones and like not be sad about it. Like I
yeah,
wasn't gonna go about my day just grieving while she was still alive.
yeah,
So yeah, every kick and every stretch was so much more special
yeah.
this time round, and things that I took for granted the last two times I didn't take for granted this time.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you, and you ended up going to Japan for that family
Yeah.
trip. I just think
Yeah.
that's fun because she got to go to Japan. Like,
That's right. Yeah, it was our first family, like international family
Hmm.
holiday.
Hmm.
And it was so special that I got to bring her with
Yeah.
me and took some nice photos with my bump. And yeah, I was feeling well, which is such a blessing. I was
Yes,
feeling well and still active enough to do all the things with the kids and whatnot.
that's
Yeah.
great. The trip was okay. Didn't have any issues while you were there because
Uh,
you had gotten the all clear from the
yeah.
doctors. Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And then was the plan just to kind of monitor you a bit more after you made that
Yeah.
decision?
Yeah. It was, I think we were on fortnightly scans
Mm.
or 3 weekly. Yeah, it was more
Yeah.
than usual,
Yeah.
which we were grateful for. Anytime we got to see her, it was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she was always been the same, cuddled up position with her
Oh,
hands
really?
by her face, and she yawned in the
Oh,
ultrasound. We had a 3D ultrasound, and she, we watched her yawn, which we didn't know if that she could do. Like
right. Right.
at this stage, we don't know what she can do. Like they told us that she has no brain. To babies with no brain yawn, like
Yeah.
really didn't know.
That
But
could, yeah.
they also told us that there would be no real pattern to movements. It would just be spontaneous, like jolts
I
here and
see.
there, which I think is they like a lot of doctors tell parents, but I feel like it's not entirely true.
Mm.
Yeah, Mika moved a lot. Like anytime I was lying down, she would start poking about in the same spot for a
Oh,
long time.
oh,
Yeah. Yeah, and my husband got to feel
oh,
so
good.
many movements. Yeah. Yeah. Anytime we lay down on the couch to watch something, she would start going
Yeah.
going crazy in there.
Yeah. That's,
Yeah.
that's funny. Well, and I mean, you being in the medical field, you probably know like if many people end up terminating babies that have
Yeah.
anencephaly, they probably don't have much data on
Yeah.
anything. And so they're just saying, oh, yeah, they shouldn't, don't expect too
Yeah.
much because they probably don't know much.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Oh, I think that's pretty great that you kind of got to know her that way. Like just,
Yeah.
she's got her own pattern.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like a little personality. Um,
Yeah.
should get going once like we settle down, and Marky anytime like Marky's hand is leaning on my belly, she'd kick exactly that spot
Oh, really?
and keep going at it.
She's like, I see something. Something's going on out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cute. And okay, so you're getting the scans, you're feeling good. Are you doing anything special? Because there's so much unknown, right? There's so much unknown.
Yeah.
But were you planning anything special, any sort of like celebration or a baby shower or anything to kind of celebrate her before she was born?
Yeah. We decided to have a maternity shoot, which I hadn't
Oh,
before.
uh-huh.
Yeah. One of my beautiful friends, I reached out to her. She's a photographer, and
Mm-hmm.
she offered to do a shoot for us. And it was, yeah, just beautiful sunset in like on a hill. yeah, I've attached some of the photos to you.
Amazing. Thank you.
And yeah, so we did that, and yeah, we decided not to do a baby shower or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just lived every day, kind of talking about her every
Mhm.
day, and um getting the kids to prepare a toy each for her and
Oh.
make a card. My son made a
Yeah.
beautiful card and a drawing for her, and they picked out their outfits for the day that they could come to hospital and see her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was all ready to go.
Oh, I think that's some great preparation, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And was there I know that you wanted to go naturally, so
Yeah.
there was never a plan to do induction, right? You were gonna just try and go in like when you
Yeah.
started to contract and such. Is that right?
The doctor did start talking about induction.
Oh, okay.
They mentioned that sometimes these babies um, they don't have the hormones, or their heads are not complete enough to
To
push on the
push.
cervix
Yes. Okay.
to start labor themselves.
I
So
see.
sometimes mums can go really overdue,
Right.
and sometimes the body just starts itself at like 25 weeks. Some women, it's also really unknown
Mhm.
how it all works. But yeah, I did let them know that I prefer not to be induced
Mhm.
and to wait at least until due date.
Okay.
And due date came and went, and
Oh,
I was still
nothing was
pregnant.
happening.
Yeah, nothing was happening, and I was really happy. I was happy about that. I did not mind being pregnant with Mika or going overdue.
Yeah.
I remember thinking I wouldn't mind if she stayed forever. Like, at least I know she's safe in there, and
Mhm.
I can protect her. But yeah, I normally, with my previous two, I have gone into labor spontaneously at 39 weeks.
Oh, okay.
So at 40 weeks, when she still wasn't here, they started talking about the steps I could take for induction, like
Mhm.
starting with the gel or breaking the waters, because I was more so against the drip,
Yes.
the
The
Syntocin drip,
medication, yeah.
because of just how intense it can make the labor and
Right.
how strong the contractions are because they're not natural.
Yeah.
They're synthetically formed, so it might decrease the chance of her making it through labor because of how strong the uterus would be squeezing.
Yeah.
And yeah, they understood. I had a midwife who was amazing, Vanessa. She was the one MFN midwife at the hospital I
Oh, okay.
was at. So she followed us through the whole time, and she was just like another mother to me,
Yeah.
and super supportive of us just waiting.
Yeah.
Um, so at 41 weeks,
Mhm.
agreed to having a stretch and sleep
Oh, okay.
to see if we could start something. And so I went in at 41 weeks for a stretch and sweep. And that night, I lost my mucus plug.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and I was like, okay, well, that's
That's
a good
something.
sign. Like,
Yes.
something, things could be moving, or
Yeah.
so I let my team, so I had my two sisters
Oh, uh-huh.
arranged, one to watch the kids,
Yeah.
come and be with the kids, and then bring them to hospital
Late.
potentially.
Yeah,
Um,
hopefully.
and then the other sister to be our videographer on the side, just
Oh,
to capture some moments for us
yes.
of the birth.
Yes.
And so I let them all know that something might be happening, but wasn't too sure. I'm
Mhm.
always a bit just wait too long, like in denial that my body's in labor.
Yeah.
My husband always knows. So
He's like, "It's
I
time."
like, you need to call the hospital. I'm like, no, I don't think it's real. I think it's just like cramps from the stretch and sweep. But yes, soon. So I think about 8 a.m. I had my first period like cramp. like a
Mm.
contraction. I was like, okay, this is a bit different, but
Yes.
I don't know if this is just like a post stretch and sweep cramp. I
Yes.
just like it's like I hadn't given birth before. I don't know how I forgot, but it had been 3 years since the
Yes,
last one.
exactly.
Yeah. So I just went about my day, finalized the hospital bag,
Mhm.
rechecked my things. I think my husband went to work. Yeah, I went to work and he did have an early finish, so
Okay.
came home, picked up the kids from school and daycare, and I was still like texting my sisters, like, I don't know. Like it could be soon, but I don't know. Then this was 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Already, and mind you, she was born at 10 p.m. that
Oh,
night. So,
okay.
and there's photos that my son took of me standing in the kitchen making miso soup
Mhm,
at like 5 o'clock,
Yeah.
and
At 5 o'clock. Oh my gosh.
yeah, yeah, and I was like, yeah, okay, I think this is it. Like, I think this is it, and we'll organize. We'll let everyone know. So we'll go in after dinner. So I'm making dinner at 5, and then sit down and have dinner.
Oh my gosh.
And
No big deal.
um, yeah, and then there's an amazing organization called Hummingbird House
Mm,
here in Australia that they support families with kids that are palliative care.
mm.
So it's like a hospice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then they have a great facility. And during the pregnancy, we had a
I
disciplinary,
know, I was like, "Oh, I don't
yeah,
know if I could say
yeah,
this really."
meeting.
Mhm.
So there were all these different teams, social workers, neonatal, pediatricians,
Mhm.
MFM. Um, I think there were 12 of them. They all came together and had a meeting with Maki and I, just answering any of our questions and
Oh,
discussing what the plan would be,
yeah.
for us after, what our plans would look
That
like.
is
And
that's awesome.
it was amazing. It was really, really amazing. And this is a public hospital, and
Yeah.
we just felt so supported and cared for. So we had like plan A and plan B and C, and if we wanted to bring her home after, what that would look like and what we would need at home, like a
Oh,
cold cot. And
awesome. That is
yeah,
awesome. I just am like, "What? That is
yeah,
unheard of."
yeah, yeah. Like, just so blessed to have like not had to worry
Yeah.
throughout the pregnancy about all this. So Hummingbird, not Hummingbird House, the children's hospital,
Mhm.
our local children's hospital. One of the doctors called at 5:30 while I was late in labor, and he said, the hospital just called me to let me know you guys are in labor. Like, do you think you have enough like supplies at home? Like, do you know what your plan is? Do you think you'll be bringing baby back home? And we don't know, like, because
Yeah.
it's all such a mystery. We don't know
Especially yeah.
what condition she would be. And we had actually decided during the pregnancy that we probably wouldn't, like, we couldn't picture bringing her home
Mm.
in the space, but they had offered us the bereavement room in the
Okay.
hospital, which has like a double bed and a big room,
Yeah.
so family can come and visit, and you can spend as long as you can or as long as you want there. And they have a cold cot there.
Yeah.
So we didn't know if we're going to stay there or if we're going to go to Hummingbird House and stay there, where they also have cold cots and like
Yeah.
playground facility for
For the
other
kid
children.
yeah.
And they feed you and they do art therapy there.
Wow.
We didn't know if we were going to go there or if we are going to go home. So we thought we probably wouldn't be coming home with her. We just couldn't picture that scene with the kids around. But this doctor, so back to when I was in labor, and
Mhm.
it's 5:30, and this doctor called and said, do you want me to bring a cold cot? Like, you don't have any. like, what if you want to bring baby home? And I said, yeah, we don't have one, but like the children's hospital is an hour away from our place, and through the peak hour traffic at 5:30,
Oh,
it
yes.
would probably like,
It
how would you get it here? He's like,
Yeah.
I can leave now.
Oh,
He was going to drive it himself,
oh,
which he did.
oh,
He's
that's so
like,
kind.
it's okay. I'll leave now. Like, do you have all the ice sheets? Like, they have special ice sheets. I can't remember what they're called. So he drove and
Wow.
got. And I said, we might be gone by the time you get here because we're just going to have dinner now and then probably head off to the
Yeah.
hospital because I have very quick labors and births,
Uh-huh.
and we didn't want to accidentally have her in the car.
Yeah.
So um I told him, and he's like, yeah, that's fine. Like, if your sister's home, like, I'll just leave it with her.
Perfect.
So this 7:30, we've had dinner, we're ready, saying bye to the kids, we're at the door.
And you're
And the
contracting, right? Like you are
yeah,
okay.
yeah, and the doctor arrives at our
Oh,
front door, and it's like, here's the
here's all the
here's
things.
the cold cotton. Like, I just bring it in, puts it on the kitchen counter, and it's like, I'll just quickly explain like how it all works, like how the water system, because it keeps like water runs
Oh,
through it,
yes,
and
yes.
then
Mhm.
it's like ice. I'll just explain to your husband how it works. So he's explaining it away, and he's like bought extra supplies of ice in case we don't want to use the cold cot. Like, if we just want to swaddle her with the ice
With a
sheets,
little
that's
yeah.
also an option.
Yeah.
30 minutes later.
It's 8 o'clock.
Yeah, it's 8 o'clock.
Oh my
And
gosh.
we finally are in the car leaving.
How far away
And
is the other hospital?
the one we birthed at
Yes.
is 20 minutes away.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Vanette, I'm
yes.
like, this is crazy.
Yeah, yes, yeah. So I call my sister to start
Mhm.
heading there, and also we had during my pregnancy, I looked for a birth photographer.
Mm,
I'd always wanted my birth captured, and I just thought I would
this
really want this one to be
yeah.
captured.
Yeah.
And amazing non-for-profit organization that sends photographers out usually to stillbirth
Yeah.
parents at hospital
Right.
after babies have passed to take some photos for them.
Yes.
And I just reached out to the organization, asked if they could link me in with a photographer locally to me so that I could ask if they would capture my birth for me, because I know it's this kind of birth photography is very specialized. You need lighting and
Yes.
to know the angles to not get, what's imperfect.
You're
You don't
right.
want to
Yeah.
like just a normal birth photographer who hasn't photographed births like that might
Yes. Yes,
find it
exactly.
very
Hard.
confronting.
Yes.
So they linked me in with this wonderful lady, and she agreed to be on call for me. Mind you, it's a free. She's doing this
It's
volunteering.
yes.
I offered to pay, but she's volunteering her time willingly to be on call for me when I go into labor. So yeah, during my pregnancy, we met up with her and had lunch and just
Oh.
explained what was happening and what kind of the plan was, and became good friends
Oh.
with her. And
Yeah.
I let her know when I was in the car that we're on our way, and so she came and met us.
Oh, great.
And my sister got there on time to video, so we had
Uh-huh.
our and the midwife who had followed me through my pregnancy, the MFM midwife,
Mhm.
her contract in MFM had ended that week,
Oh,
and
no.
she was moved back to birth suite,
Oh.
and she was on shift that night.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. I
what a
was
blessing.
praying. I was just praying that she would be there.
Yeah.
In the morning when I called the hospital and said I was in labor, I asked if Vanessa was working that day,
Mhm.
and she
Mhm.
said She's not on in the day shift, and she couldn't see the roster for the night shift, so she couldn't tell me. And I just prayed that
Please.
she would be on
Yeah.
because I didn't want to just anyone,
Right.
or someone who didn't know our
The
story.
history. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and when
Oh.
I walked into the
Oh.
hospital and saw her face, and we both just hugged
Yeah.
each other tightly, and it was like excitement
Yeah.
and yeah, mostly excited. I was excited for to meet Mika, and I didn't have a lot of worries
Mm.
in my labor of what was going to happen. Just kind of handed it to God. I just like we prayed for a miracle throughout our pregnancy, and we had no doubt, like, and we still have no doubt that God can heal Mika, and He 100% could have given her a whole, complete
Mhm.
head, and she could
Mhm.
have been born with no issues and been a miracle story. But more so, we prayed that God would let His will be done. Like whatever this meant, like if there was a purpose for her in our lives to lead us somewhere that we needed to go, or to be the people that we need to be, like for His will to come true,
Yeah.
even if that meant that we only had a short amount of time with her.
Yeah.
So, yeah, sorry, I'm just going on a tangent here.
No, I think that it's true. Like you just want it to
Yeah,
be
so
what it
then
is.
when our team, like when we saw Vanessa there, like walking in and seeing her there, it was
Yeah.
just like family, and knowing that she would be the one supporting us. And
Throughout.
she knew we were coming in because we had called in earlier and they told her. So she just took us straight into the biggest birth suite because the bereavement room was taken at the time. So
Uh-huh.
she took us into the biggest birth suite, and we had a birth pool there, and that was one of my wishes. I wanted a
Okay.
birth pool,
Yeah.
just to labor in.
Yeah.
Really like being in the water while laboring.
Mhm.
Yeah, so and had written on the board, "Welcome to your beautiful family, Mika," which was just like walking in and seeing that, like it was prepped for us, and like the
Yes.
resus table was covered because we had planned with the whole team that she would be not for resus, and they call it a palliative care
Yes.
model.
Uh-huh.
So just to keep her comfortable, to keep me comfortable, like
Yes.
yeah, we didn't want to see them doing CPR on her if, she was passing. Like that's probably more traumatic.
Yes.
We just wanted it to be gentle, whatever that looked like for her life.
They just
Yeah.
really set you up so nicely. I just think of how probably peaceful and that was probably reassuring to you as a mom, like just having
Yeah.
people take care of you so well and take care of Mika that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got there and they had, like you said, the pool all set up, and your contractions were probably pretty regular by this time and coming on stronger.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Oh, really? They
They were
just,
like 7 minutes apart
oh,
and then
okay.
9 minutes apart. Yeah, that's why I was so deceived by
Okay.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
it wasn't like they were definitely getting closer because they were 15 minutes apart, and then they went to 10, and then as I got to hospital they kind of spread out a little bit more. I think
Yeah.
just my body adjusting to a new environment.
Hmm.
So I was like, oh no, like this is gonna take forever, and like everyone's here
Yeah.
waiting for me
Yeah.
and watching me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. So I was trying to walk around, and my husband's doing hip squeezes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the hip squeeze is what helped me get through. Like every contraction, I needed him. He went to the toilet once, and he missed that hip squeeze for that contraction, and I was not okay with him.
Where did you go?
Yeah. Yeah, I was holding my breath, and like I'm usually quite good at just breathing through,
uh
and I like it's all internal for me. So on my face it looks like I'm almost asleep.
hmm.
But yeah, that I was just trying to hurry things up almost because I was scared, like, oh no, like fizzling out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, we get to hospital at almost 8:30.
Hmm.
Yeah, and we get in and settle in, um, use the birth ball a bit,
Hmm.
sit on that and bounce, and in between contractions, um, having conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the usual labor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the nice thing is like, yeah, it feels kind of like a usual labor. That's kind of
Yeah.
nice having that, despite knowing like this is a very unusual pregnancy. So
Yeah, it was all so normal. Like when
yeah,
I think back now to that labor, I don't think anyone would have walked in and thought
right.
like this was a special circumstance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
it
is
was a
nice for
really,
yeah, I was just like thinking how that would be nice to remember Mika that way, just
yeah,
very
it's a really,
normal birthing.
yeah, yeah. We brought in some fairy lights
Mhm.
to hang in the room, and so that, yeah, it was a really, and we had our worship music on in the background. And during my pregnancy I used Christian hypnobirth. I don't know
Mhm.
if you've heard that before.
I've heard of
um
hypnobirthing, but I've not heard of a Christian version, so that's cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I've done both. With my second
Mhm.
daughter I did just a normal hypnobirthing, and then with Mika I found Christian hypnobirthing. And
Mhm.
it's just so good for the soul. It's affirmations with scripture. Yeah,
Yeah.
just guiding your, like, helping you breathe through it, but also affirming you with scripture instead of what you can do through your own
Gotcha.
will and power.
Yeah.
Yeah, which really helped me. So had that playing, and yeah.
Wonderful. And so everybody and the labor, did you end up getting in the pool also throughout
uh,
that?
yeah. So I laid down so that the midwife could check me to
Uh-huh.
check how dilated I was. And she's like, I wasn't sure at first if I wanted to be checked, but because we kind of didn't, I was like, "Oh, these contractions are quite far apart. Like, I don't know if I'm actually progressing or if this is all just
Right,
fake."
right, right.
So I asked if she could check, and she said, "You're like 6 or 7 centimeters
Oh,
dilated." And I was like, okay, like
you're
that's a
quite far
good,
along. Yeah.
yeah, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
And since I was already lying on the bed, I didn't get up again. So they put a peanut ball in
Oh,
between my legs,
yeah.
and I just laid on my side. And she's like, "Do you want to get in the bath now?" I was like, "I don't know. I don't want to get in too early and for labor to stop."
Mm,
um, because I do get really comfortable in there.
yeah.
And she's like, "Okay, you let me know when you want to get in, and I'll start filling it up." And it takes 40 minutes to fill up.
Okay.
And I was just, I can be quite indecisive sometimes, and I need my husband to help me decide a
Yeah.
lot of things. So I'm talking to him while he's pressing on my hip, like, "Should I get in now?"
Yeah.
What- and so then I decide, okay, like maybe fill it up now. So I asked my midwife to start filling it up, and then I am lying there and I have a really big contraction,
Mm.
and I feel that this one's shifted. Like this one is
Oh,
different
okay.
to the ones before, and like it's deeper, and a lot of pressure pushing downwards. And with that, so like I'm lying on my side and my husband's behind me on this side, pressing on my
Yeah.
hips,
Yeah.
to do hip squeeze. And during my contraction I gestured to him like, my waters," like, because I feel like that my waters are gonna break.
Yes.
At this point it hadn't broken yet.
Yeah.
And so I was gesturing, pointing down, saying my waters to him. Like, I don't know what I wanted him to do, but him being him, just like panicked with his hand and went to like catch, like he thought the baby was coming out
Oh.
or something. And he put his hand there and my waters break
Oh, they
all
did.
over.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So it bursts like a dramatic big burst
Yeah.
all over the bed, on his hand.
Oh.
Um, yeah, and yeah, that was funny. We were laughing about that. Um, and then how far, like after that contraction, I felt like I needed some more like help with my comfort. Because at this point my hip squeezes from my husband was
Well,
enough,
uh-huh.
but I needed to do something else now. It was getting more intense.
Right.
I was probably in transition when I think about it now.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, so I decided to get up and get in the pool,
Uh-huh.
and the water was only like about
You're
like
like,
10
oh,
centimeters
okay.
high.
Yeah.
But I'm like walking in there, and as I'm walking, I'm like, oh, okay. Like there's another contraction because I'm walking, and then I step into up the steps,
Yeah.
and as I step over into the pool, it must be just that motion set me off on like a bigger contraction,
Yeah.
and I was pushing.
Oh,
So I stepped into the pool, and I'm like, I'm pushing, I'm pushing, she's coming. And so I'm standing in the pool with just my ankles covered, or my
yeah.
calves
Yes.
covered in water, it's so shallow, and leaning forward. And in one push, her head came out, and the second push, her body came out.
So you gave
Yeah,
birth to her standing up in the pool, not even sitting in the
yeah.
pool or anything.
We made it to the
To the
pool.
pool.
I made it to the. I used it,
Yes. Yes. Technically,
and
yes.
then with my cord still attached and her still hanging out, I had to waddle out of the pool
Mm-hmm.
and back to the bed.
Oh, so
That was
so did you kind of just catch her, or
the
some
midwife was
midwife
there,
was there just kind
luckily.
of holding
Yeah,
her? Okay.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
I was luckily there. She didn't have time to call the second midwife
Yeah.
yet because, yeah,
Yeah.
probably the same in US. You need two midwives to
Yeah.
be present
Yeah. There's a lot of
usually.
people
Yeah,
usually
so
involved.
yeah, so she
Oh,
caught her.
oh, that's
I have a
wonderful.
beautiful picture of
Of
that.
that. Oh, how
Yeah,
cool is that?
yeah, yeah,
So you got back to the bed, and because she has her cord on her,
yeah,
she's still attached and everything. And then, so tell
yeah.
me
Still,
how that went.
yeah,
Yeah.
placenta's still inside me.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and
Mm-hmm.
my cord was quite short. Her
Oh.
her cord was
Okay.
quite short, so
Yeah.
to waddle slowly
Yeah.
and figure out how to climb onto the bed with
Right.
the yeah,
Yes. I was
yeah,
like, oh my gosh, this is like so crazy. But yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So you get back
yeah,
onto the bed.
yeah. Was there anything I missed in there?
Oh, I was no, I just wanted to make sure that she was. Did you say that did you hear anything from her when she was born? Um
Not straight
Not
away,
straight away.
but
Okay.
after we got back to the bed and we were just looking at her, she was breathing, and
She was breathing.
um yeah, we're just cuddling up to her, and she let out a big, huge
Really?
scream cry. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yay.
which was so nice to hear.
I
We didn't know if we were gonna
Right.
hear that. So many unknowns, we just really didn't know what would happen
Right.
straight after, what we could expect. But yeah, so she had passed meconium while she was inside.
Oh, she was. Okay.
Um, yeah, so she's had a bit of wiping off to do, and then
Right.
let out a big cry, and I birthed the placenta, and my husband cut the cord.
Uh-huh.
Yep. And yeah, we were just in bliss. Like
Yeah.
it was just joy. It was just like any other baby that we
Yeah.
had. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she's on
So
you, and you're holding her skin to skin.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Skin to skin. And I feed her. I give her a feed. That's
Oh,
also something that I wanted to try if she was able to. And yeah, she latched.
she
She
did.
even looked. She looked for it. She had that reflex of opening
Yeah.
her mouth and latching,
Yeah.
and like feeling her latch was one of the best
Oh,
feelings ever. Like
yeah.
when after you've breastfed, like that, your nipples kind of just know when it's a good latch feeling,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
feeling that good latch was so satisfying and so rewarding.
Right. Because you
Yeah,
really don't. You just don't know she's going to
No.
be able to
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Yeah. And we asked them that question, which we asked some of the pediatricians if babies with anencephaly can latch and can breastfeed, and they say sometimes yes, like it's dependent, but sometimes they can't and sometimes they can.
Yeah.
So we really didn't know, but yeah, she fed actually 3 times.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so that was the first.
Wow.
And
That is wonderful. I'm actually I do want to ask because I'm sure others are wondering, but how did she
yeah,
look? Like how did her head look? Like that was one of the concerns because you said, you just can't imagine what that's
yeah,
how
yes,
that would look and
yes,
yeah,
yeah,
so if you could tell us a little bit about that, I think that would be helpful.
yeah. I She had bruising on her face
Mhm.
because she had come down face first.
Okay,
Um,
yeah.
I think that was where the pressure was applied. She was applying pressure with her face
Yes.
instead of her
The
head
head.
because
Yeah.
yeah. So there was quite a bit of bruising on her face, which we were a little bit surprised with.
Mhm.
Just seeing that, we're like, is this normal? Like, do babies with anencephaly normally have this? But the midwife explained that it's just bruising.
Mhm.
And her head was quite round and small. Like there wasn't just like a missing chunk
Yeah.
out of it, like what we were imagining. And it wasn't just empty. It
Yeah.
was actually covered with hair.
Yeah.
It was covered with thick hair, and there was only about like a coin size piece of um opening, and it was like just like tissue, like
It,
just tissue coming out. Like it wasn't flimsy hanging out.
yeah.
It was just like it just looked like an extra growth of
Gotcha.
tissue
Yeah.
on the back of her head, and the rest of it was covered with scalp and hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely smaller
Mhm.
than an average baby, but yeah, it was not like the horror
Yeah.
image that they had painted in our head.
Right. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's kind of thing I wanted to point out. It's like a lot of times I think it's not yeah, it's not what we expect it to be. And it's
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And I think there is such a wide range
Mhm.
that it can look like, because I Google imaged it
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
it can be really confronting, and some babies and carefully can look very different to Mika's one. So we really didn't know what it was going to look like,
Right.
and because some of them start more forward in the
Right.
forehead,
Yeah.
like right at the eyebrows, and some start a little bit
Quite
more further up. So
right.
all of that determines how the face is formed and the facial features are formed, and where the placement of the eyes are. So
Mhm.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so was her how did her face like what did I mean besides the bruising
yeah. Her
on her
face looked
face?
so cute. It was
Yeah.
chubby little cheeks and cute little Asian eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was like a little doll, like a perfect little Asian doll.
Yeah. Oh,
But yeah, yeah,
that is
she was
wonderful.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome. And she was doing okay. Like her heart was beating great. She was breathing
yeah, yeah.
and
Her heart rate was great, and yeah, she was breathing well. The only thing was that she didn't open her eyes, which
okay.
also we didn't know what we would expect.
Mhm.
It was something that like that I really wanted,
Yeah.
amongst the other list of things
Yes.
like
Yes.
breastfeeding and whatnot.
Yes.
But that was the only thing that we didn't get to see, was her open her eyes. But that's okay. She looked always in peace and always comfortable.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
because
know
of
that was
that.
one of your
And
things that you're like you want her to be comfortable, not in pain and
yeah, yeah. And she never showed any sign of discomfort. Even that cry was more so like a scream of, the newborn
yeah.
joy when they
Yeah.
let
I'm
out,
here.
when they breathe their first breath.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, that first breath of air in their lungs. It was that sound. So,
Oh,
yeah,
that's wonderful. And I would think maybe a bit of a relief to see her there finally. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and to know that we made it. Yeah.
Yes.
So she was born at 10:22 p.m.
Uh-huh.
and I have photos of me still on the bed at 10:21 starting to get up to walk to the
Oh my
bathtub.
gosh, this is so funny. I just can't believe that happened in that very, very short amount of time.
Yeah, and me still in denial, like thinking, "Oh, this is gonna take all night." Like getting to the hospital at 8:30, thinking, "Oh no, everyone's waiting for me. Everyone's
Right.
gonna lose sleep."
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was born 2 hours after we
That's
got there.
that's so fun. um,
Yeah.
Vanette, can you tell me how Mika, how big she was? How much did she weigh and how long was she?
Yeah, she weighed 2.1 kilograms. Now, I don't know what that is in pounds.
That's probably what, 5 and something pounds or so?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah, on the smaller side,
Yeah,
which we did expect because
right.
during the scan she was measuring at like 1 percentile.
Oh,
So we knew she was going to be smaller, but I think that's still a good weight.
yeah, I think it
For
is.
our other two have been 2.9, so she was
Okay.
2.1, so it
Yeah,
wasn't that far off.
yeah.
And she was 41 centimeters long.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. And you had been referring to her as Mika the entire time. So your entire team also knew that her name was
Yeah.
Mika. Okay, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful. And
Yeah.
so now that so she is born alive and you had essentially opted for a palliative care route.
Yeah.
Um but she was doing fine. So tell me, I guess some of the things that you did with her while you were not sure if she was going to pass away quickly or if she was
Yeah.
going to be around for a while. So can you tell me about that first little bit of time that you had with her and
Yeah.
what you were doing with her?
Yeah. We really didn't like it was almost like we forgot that this was her diagnosis, like that she had a
Yeah.
diagnosis. Like I forgot that
Yeah.
the time was limited almost.
Really?
Um, so we had let our family know that I was in labor. And my mother-in-law said she wanted to be at the hospital,
Mm.
just to be not being in the
Ready.
room, but just at the
Yeah.
hospital, just to be with us
Yes.
while I was laboring and birthing. So she was the first one to arrive,
Mhm.
along with Amaki's brother.
Mhm.
So, and then my parents came, and then my uncle and auntie also came,
That's wonderful.
and my other sister brought in the kids, and they came.
Oh, wonderful.
And then another one of my sister-in-law and her husband and my nephew came as well. So we had just, yeah, like which is great. I know some people love to just have time for themselves, but this felt like a celebration. It really
Yes.
felt like so many people loved Mika and they were all here to
Yes.
see her just like any other baby.
Mhm.
But yeah, so we had a room full of like family
Yeah.
and everyone got to hold her and there was no sadness. There was no tears, no sadness, and everyone was just loving on her and
Yeah.
saying how adorable she is and getting cuddles and yeah.
I think that is wonderful. Like I just because yeah, some people they don't have the chance to have their baby like other people meet their baby. So I think
Yeah.
that's beautiful that so many
Yeah.
people were able to come. Can you tell me about when your kids met Mika for the first time?
Yeah. They came in to the room and were very excited because they saw all their family there. And so they were
They're like it's
they
a
were
party.
excited. Yeah. And my son was a little bit hesitant, I felt
Mhm.
like at the hospital. He probably could see that the bruising on the face was like quite purpley and
Yeah.
that color he might have noticed that wasn't normal, but whereas my daughter didn't. Like he didn't mention anything,
Yeah.
but I could just feel he was a little bit hesitant.
Mhm.
Um, but my daughter cuddled her and they both did. They both They both
Yeah.
did, and yeah, they just loved on her. They didn't have any big questions in that moment. They
Yeah.
just accepted that there was a little sister and she's
And she was
born
here.
now.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, that's so
yeah,
fun.
yeah,
So yeah, tell me a little bit more other things and is she doing well? Is the midwife, the doctors, are they how are they feeling about her progress or how she's doing physically?
yeah, yeah. So during that whole time, no doctors came in to like interrupt our time, which is
Yes,
something we wanted.
right.
It was just our midwife, that one beautiful midwife I had, and she stayed in the room with us and just kind of like observed. And just she said it was just such a
Hmm.
she'd never seen a scene like that before.
Yeah.
Like she'd never seen so much love and support from a family in for like a situation like this
Yeah.
or for any birth. And yeah, it was really beautiful. And my dad is a pastor.
Mhm.
So we asked him if he would like to baptize her.
Mm.
And so he had a portable, mobile little
Yeah.
baptismal font that he
Yeah.
brought in, and it was full of, yeah, he just prepared it on the
Yeah.
table and like prepared a whole little mini service for her
Yeah.
there and baptized her with our family there.
That's so
Yeah.
special.
And so that was really special. That was really special. And yeah, we just took lots of photos. And because that photographer was there, it
Yes.
just caught all the beautiful moments of the family surrounding us and busy taking photos of her and cuddling her. And just all smiles. There were no tears.
Yeah.
Yeah. In that,
That's wonderful.
at that time. And yeah, she was breathing well, her heart rate was still fine. The midwife checked, I think maybe twice.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, so at this point it's getting pretty late. So
Yeah.
she was born at
Yeah.
10:22 p.m. and I think by 1 p.m. everyone had come and gone
Uh-huh.
already. So it was just us. And we were pretty exhausted as well,
Right.
but also didn't want to miss a single moment with her. After everyone left, we kind of noticed that her breathing was a little bit more shallow and harder to see.
Mm.
Like we had to really look for her
Right.
breathing to
Okay.
notice it. Yeah, so that was, I think, when reality kicked in, like hit me again that this was reality.
Yeah.
And it was really happening. So the midwife checked her heartbeat, and the one thing I regretted, I think, throughout this whole thing is that when the midwife offered for me to listen to her heartbeat, um, she was laying on a heater under the heater
Mhm.
lamp
Oh, yeah.
on the table for the newborns, and because I had just given birth, I was still, in my bloody clothes and
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't really want to get up and I just I don't know why in that moment I didn't just ask the midwife to bring her over to me so I
Mm.
could listen.
Mhm.
But my husband had to listen to her heartbeat through the stethoscope.
Mhm.
And they offered me if I wanted to listen and I just said, no, it's okay, trying to not be a hassle for
Yeah.
them to have to bring Mika from the warm lamp over to me.
Yeah.
And so I missed that opportunity.
Yeah.
And yeah, I still think about that one decision that I
Yeah.
made and I missed. But yeah, so they checked for heartbeat and it was still going fine. I don't know if it slowed down. She probably it may have, but she probably didn't want to say anything.
Oh,
Um
okay.
yeah, but she did say, yeah, it's expected that it's quite normal that her breathing is a bit more shallow and we could hear a little bit of gargling.
Mm.
So we asked if she could suction her
Okay.
mouth, and she did that. I don't think it helped too much, but it was something that we did that helped her to maybe be more comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And the
then we
gargling
just,
is probably maybe because the swallow reflex is not there, or
yeah,
just worried about that kind of thing. Is that usually what they're
yeah,
thinking? Okay.
swallow reflex is not there. And I think because usually new babies, they cry, they let out a
Yes.
big, longer cry,
Right.
whereas hers was short, just
Right.
short bursts of like one scream here and there.
Yeah.
So maybe the fluids in her lungs were not all out, yeah,
Cleared out.
and
Okay,
she
I see.
couldn't get it out. So yeah, it was probably that. Yeah. So then we just spent time cuddling her, and we decided that, like, I was almost unable to keep my eyes open at this point. I think it
I
must
was
have
gonna
been
say you're probably
3 a.m.
exhausted. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So we decided to take turns being with her, and I took the first 20 minute just having a little nap, and then Maki had his turn, and while he was having his little sleep, I noticed that her cheeks were getting a little bit cold.
Oh.
And so I fed her again, and her cheeks warmed up again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just, lying next
Just
to me, like it
yeah.
just warmed up. And that
Yeah.
was so special. Me feeding her and being close to her could give her warmth. And, like, to me at that time, it felt like giving her more time,
Yeah.
because if she was warmer, then she was able to stay with me longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I fed her. So that was the third time I fed her. And with each time, I noticed her suction was a little bit weaker.
Yeah.
The first suction was like amazing, like that
Yeah.
amazing click,
Mhm.
like on point
Yeah.
suction.
Like
And then
it
the
was there.
second one was there, but it was a little bit slower and a little bit weaker.
Mhm.
And then that third one, she was almost not suckling
Yeah.
anymore. It was just a little movement of her
Yeah.
lips.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was another sign for me. And then I just wrapped her back up, and I remember putting the blanket over both of our heads to keep the warm air in.
Yeah.
Um, and just we had a song playing in the background. I made a Mika playlist on
Mhm.
Spotify just for
Mhm.
her, and that those songs were playing, and I just sang. A lot of them were worship songs, and I just sang them to her, rocking her, and crying. Like, it was in that moment. It was all like, this is the moment that we've been planning for. Like, this is the time through the whole pregnancy. Like, this is it. And her breathing got really shallow that I couldn't feel it. And I was looking for it, and I thought that there was no more breathing. I thought, like, I checked and I couldn't feel any air, and I couldn't feel her tummy moving.
Yeah.
And it was just really still, and it was just us two under the blanket and me singing to her. And I just cried in that moment. I really thought she was gone. And, like, I grieved in that moment. And then all of a sudden, she lets out a big gasp of
Oh,
air. Yeah,
you're like, "Oh, there you are."
yeah, yeah. Takes a huge breath in, and with a big sound. And she did that a few times just to
Mhm.
scare us, I'm pretty sure. One time she really scared Amaki,
Uh-huh.
gave him a big fright. um, yeah. So then I just laughed at
Yeah.
her, like, you're just playing with me
I
now.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Um,
Eh,
and then, so yeah, that was a really special time that we had together. It felt like it was just us two, and, like, me singing to her just felt so nice, and keeping her warm. And then thinking that she had gone, she had
yes.
passed away, and having that moment of, like, immense grief.
I know.
And then all of a
And then
sudden
followed by
being relieved
yeah.
by
Yeah.
her breathing. Yeah. Yeah. And Amaki woke up
Yeah.
not long after that. So then, yeah, he he had his turn, and he was keeping her warm under the lamp and just
Yeah.
playing with her hands and kissing her while I slept. And then I think maybe 15 minutes later, he came to me and said, I don't know if she's breathing anymore. And I was so out of it. I was so tired. I just like he said my eyes were like half rolling back. And I
Yeah.
just said, it's okay. And he was so confused, like, what do you mean it's okay? I don't know what to do. What do we do now? And I was very much struggling to wake up.
Yeah.
And because
Yeah.
in my head I had already gone through that phase
The
of
entire
grieving for
yes,
her,
exactly.
I was already like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. This is her time. Anyways, we called the midwife in, and she checked her heartbeat with the stethoscope and said, yeah, there was no longer a heartbeat. And Mikey broke down crying, and I think I didn't really process what that really meant in that moment. I was so tired and almost delusional, and also like felt like I just grieved this moment already,
Yeah.
and so I'm okay already.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't until a little bit later that
You
it hit me that there would be no more of these, like hearing her
yeah.
gasp and hearing her scream or feeding her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What time did she pass away? Or what time did she get checked last, I guess?
it was 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, so five. I thought about 5:15 in the morning.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we had a good few hours, just
Yeah.
us.
Oh,
So
that's
in total, um, she had 7 hours with us,
yeah.
and every minute was just full of love for her. Like she didn't get put down to be by herself at all.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah,
I love that picture of you with you cuddling her under the blanket, just trying to keep her warm. I just think that is such a sweet picture of you taking care of her.
yeah, yeah. It's a very special moment for me and her.
Yeah. Did the midwife or the rest of the team, did they give you any, I'm assuming they offered having her on the cold cot and giving you
Yeah,
enough time to be with her?
yeah, yeah. They did. The midwife kind of left us for like as left us to just be together, and so we did. We cried, and then we just cuddled her more and just stared at her and looked at her hands and played with her cheeks and all that. And until the morning, we notified our family that she had passed, and the ones that couldn't come at night, some of them came in the morning
Oh,
to see
wonderful.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I feel like our room was constantly like, yeah, we just had family surrounding us the whole time. Yeah.
Um,
And then our kids came back in the morning again.
They did.
And this time it was very different,
Yeah.
like a different scene, because last time it was a celebration. Everyone was happy and Mika was born, and this time Mika had died and everyone was crying. And like they had never seen their dad cry before. And so I think it was a big shock.
Yeah.
And they were looking around the room. My daughter was handing out tissues to us and helping me wipe my tears, which just made me cry more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And having to tell them that Mika had died, like we used those words. We decided to be transparent like that and not to say Mika's sleeping or Mika's gone now, because some social workers and some research says that kids are they process quite differently if we are not direct. They can not fully understand, and it helps them with their grieving process if we are just honest with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were using those words. Mika's died now, and it's again that moment we had been prepping for. Like this, the words are actually coming out for real now, and my daughter still remembers those, like that day and that moment,
Really.
and all of her family was crying, I should say, and yeah,
Oh, that is such a hard hard thing to do. I
yeah,
Did you end up staying, how long did you end up staying after the birth? And I know that there's a lot of things. I mean, it sounds like your hospital is so good with families of that are going through something so tragic. Did they do the hand molds? Did they let you take a little piece of her
yeah,
hair? Did they do all of those things
yeah,
that kind of typically happen when a baby passes away?
yeah, yeah. So they made like a mini scrapbook
Oh,
for her with
uh-huh.
her little band in it,
Yeah.
and handprints and footprints. So we stay for one day, and
Yes.
during that day, um, they came in and did those things with us together. Um, yeah, and they gave it to us at the end when we
Yeah.
were discharged. And they also have a memory box, gave us a memory box. It's from an organization called Precious Wings,
Mhm.
who donate them. And it has like all these different kits and different things in there to help remember our
Yeah.
babies. Yeah, so we did that, and yeah, we stayed a day there, and then we decided we would bring her home.
Okay.
Yeah, at first we really didn't know, but like now,
It felt
like she was just our baby, like
yeah.
she's another baby. Of course, we would bring her home.
Yeah.
Like, what were we thinking? Like, we would bring her home. So we spoke to the hospital, and yeah, they were very supportive. So we also called our pastor
Mhm.
to let him know that Mika had been born and had passed away, and he just came in and helped us organize everything from there. Like we had not organized the funeral, neither of us, Amaki and I.
Okay.
Um, this is probably like the first big
Y
death situation for me, apart from my grandparents passing
Right.
when I was very young. So
Right.
I was I had no idea what I needed to do, and
Exactly.
we didn't want to prepare these things while I was pregnant. It
Yes.
just didn't feel right to be preparing for a funeral while she was still alive
Mhm.
and well in me. And so my pastor, yeah, he just came and did all of that for us, and we took off all the burden and the stress and worries, and contacted the people that he knew. Yeah. So
Thank
yeah.
goodness for people that will step up and do something like that. Like, that is because
Yes.
planning a funeral when you're like, I never thought I would be in this situation to have to plan a funeral, so
Yes. Yeah. Especially also being postpartum
yes, exactly. Yeah.
and being tired and grieving, and
Yeah. Just all of
yeah,
it.
milk coming
Milk
in, and
coming in, yeah. There's so many things that are on top of that having to navigate, yeah. So you guys did want to have a funeral for her. I just was yeah, some people opt not to
yeah.
and others do, so you did want to have a funeral then.
Yeah. Yeah. We decided to do it at our church.
Mhm.
So it was like a little memorial or celebration of
Yeah.
life for
Yeah.
her. Yeah, we just had our close family, friends, just a small bunch of us
Yeah.
together. Yeah.
It just feels right. It feels nice
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
And did you decide to have her buried or cremated?
We decided to have her cremated. Yeah,
Okay.
so that we could keep her ashes with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and as a like a tangible thing that the kids could see of her, and to remember and to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then can you tell me a little bit about the funeral service. So, did you speak? Or was it your pastor that did the program?
Yeah. So we worked with the funeral home to organize that, and so she came home for 5 days with us.
Oh,
So she
that's
stayed for 5 days, and we had that
wonderful.
time to plan. It was so hard letting her go.
Yeah.
We were told maybe we would get 1 or 2 days with her before her condition would get worse, and it
Yeah.
wouldn't be in our best interests or hers to stay. So um, they just came and checked her each day and made sure her condition was okay. And they were lovely. They were just wonderful at letting us have as much time as possible.
Yeah.
And to be honest, her condition just it was almost like she got better. Like the
Really?
bruising faded on her
Oh,
face a
yeah.
bit more. Um, and she was less stiff. I don't know if that's just a part of the process. Yeah, she softened up a little bit. Um, and we just kept her in a they call it a cold cot, but really it's just like an ice, like a flexible ice
Yeah.
grip thing that you can put into your swaddle,
Yes.
the top and the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
Um,
that. I That's a really nice thing. I don't think people realize because they think like the cuddle cot or the cold cot is just a rigid box, and a lot of times that is. But there's a lot of times they have this. It's just like a cold, like you said, an ice sheet
yeah.
where they put water and
Yes.
very cold water,
Yeah.
and you can just put a blanket around it and hold your baby, and it feels
Yeah.
really
It feels
supernatural.
yeah, it just feels so natural and just feels like she's got a lot of blankets on her.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
um it was winter time. It was the middle of winter
yeah,
when she was born, so that helped.
yes,
So at night it was cold, and during the day we put the aircon on to the coolest we
yeah.
could and kept her in the coolest room, and we just hang out. We went for walks,
You did.
um, put her in the pram
Yeah.
and pushed her along our street and gave her a gave her a walk just like we did with the
Other
other
kids.
kids and
Yeah,
picked flowers.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know, like, what other kind of normal type things that you did when you
Yeah.
had her.
Sit down. We yeah, went for a walk, and the kids picked flowers for her
Mhm.
and came back and put it in a little vase,
Oh,
and they
uh-huh.
really loved that, and we remember that like such a fond memory
Yeah.
that we all did. Um, and what else? Yeah, then at home, on the last day when she was with us, um, Hummingbird House, that
Y
hospice
yes.
service, they sent out an art therapist to
Oh.
us
Uh-huh.
who came and did some handprint art on a canvas
Uh-huh.
for us
Yeah.
of all of our hands together and Mika's feet at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
wonderful.
yeah, we did that, and then we decorated her coffin
Mhm.
before we sent her off in it.
Yeah.
The kids drew on it, and like we spent a lot of time. They glued little pom poms onto it to decorate it, make it so pretty. It was the cutest little coffin.
That is the
Yeah.
cutest thing ever.
Yeah. And then we all wrote a message. And we invited um, everyone at the funeral to also write a message. We had it out at the front before it started with some colorful pens, and everyone got to write or draw something.
Oh.
We got nice photos of it to
Oh,
remember.
I just think I've never heard of that before, but I think that is so great.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
It
that
was really sweet, and just reading all the messages and knowing how much she was loved,
Mhm.
and knowing that like if people love her, they must love us too,
Yeah.
because if they don't love us, they wouldn't love our baby.
Yeah.
And just feeling that love and feeling that support all around us was so you just wouldn't have any other opportunity to feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So grateful for Mika bringing that kind of love to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I I love that. I think that these kind of situations you realize how much people just love you and want to just take care of you, and um
Yeah.
how sweet that is. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. Yeah. And yeah, apart from that, we just had in the 5 days, we just had a lot of family and friends come and visit us and spend spend time with us and spend time with her.
yeah.
It when I think back to it now, it was quite busy,
Right.
and I would often look forward to the night
Right.
time when everyone's gone, so I could have some time
Yeah.
with her alone. But yeah, it never felt like it was a burden or anything. It just we were just constantly surrounded by love and prayers, and my sister came so many times and just took photos.
Oh,
And
a blessing.
yeah, while we were doing the art therapy, she was here. She spent the whole day here and took beautiful photos of us as a family doing that together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so neat. I just think of how busy a house is after a baby is born and how many people are visiting and everything, and they're doing the same in this case. In Mika's case, I just think that is so sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. And our beautiful church friends, we have a connect group, and they set up a meal train for us
Oh,
that went for 3 weeks.
so kind.
So yeah, we had that, and it's just such a so life changing to not have to think about food. Like I couldn't have imagined having to think about cooking and what to feed the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just gave us so much more time to be with Mika and
Yeah.
to not stress about anything else.
Yeah.
It really helped that time be a beautiful memory. Yeah.
Right. It really is. I don't and that's one of the pieces of advice that I people always ask, like, what can I do? I was like, food, like if there's something that they
Yeah.
don't have to worry about, and food is one of those things you have to worry about. And
Yes.
if you take that
Like,
off somebody's plate, that is huge.
yeah. Yeah. And like it might seem like it's not much if it's just one meal, but one meal can sometimes be a conflict point for a couple. Like it
Yes.
could just push them over the edge because they have one more thing to think about. And
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
yeah, so it could have saved someone's marriage maybe.
Yes. A meal.
Like,
Yes,
yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that is, it sounds, I don't know. I just like, I think back on as we've talked and I was like, oh man, Mika's life was so full of joy, like, and surrounded by family and friends. It's beautiful. Like, yeah, I just think you guys did a good job of like taking care of her and loving on her.
Thank you. Yeah, it was full of joy. It like when I think back to her whole life, her pregnancy, birth, and even after, it was just, yeah, full of joy. Like, I mean, there's grief in losing her and not having her with us here and missing her. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But just her herself, she's such a blessing.
Yeah.
Her pregnancy, I just had no negative pregnancy symptoms. And like just it just always reminds me of God telling me I will be with you. And that it's just so evident through all of these little signs.
Yeah.
Um all the things coming together. Yeah, and us getting to spend time with her and making these memories and the right team coming together and just supporting us. And
Yeah. Truly, truly. Like it really, it's amazing to just like see how all these things kind of just fell into place. And maybe that seems like, oh, that was a coincidence that it fell into place. But like you said, God was with you. I think that he was directing
yeah,
people to be in the right place at the right time. I think that's
yeah,
just beautiful.
yeah, yeah. And like not just even like the right people. Like he really made sure we didn't have to, like, for instance, like the free birth photography
Oh, yeah.
because I had gotten quotes. I had gotten a lot of quotes, and they were $3,000 or $4,000, and I was
Exactly.
almost ready to spend that. But then this one beautiful lady who's absolutely God sent volunteers her time to be on call
Yeah.
for us for free, and it gave us all the pictures,
Yeah.
hundreds of both black and white,
Wonderful.
and in a USB, and some printed for us. And then afterwards, I wanted to get my placenta encapsulated.
Mm-hmm.
It's something I do with each of my pregnancies, and I reached out to a lady who does that locally to me, and she said she normally just charges whatever the family is able to offer
Yeah.
because she wants to give everyone a chance to be able to have their placenta encapsulated, and she knows that it can be too expensive.
Yeah. Okay.
Usually it's around $250 to $300
Okay. Uh-huh.
here,
Uh-huh.
or a little bit more. And when after I told her about Mika, she said, like, absolutely don't worry about giving her any money. Like she wants to do this for us for
Uh,
free, and she like took placenta prints where she stamped the placenta onto like a huge piece of paper
oh,
so that we could frame it.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and so we have those prints, and she made the cord into a heart, and yeah, I still have
That is
some of
so
the
cool.
yeah, and then when she brought it over, she brought like an extra gift, an angel candle holder made
Oh,
carved out of wood.
yeah.
And yeah, it was just beautiful, just little, but like also big
Yes.
gifts like these are
Yes.
just blessings from God that like we listened and we obeyed, and He's taught us how strong His love is. And without Mika, we wouldn't have known God the way we know God now, and the relationship we've built, and the way that we're able to teach our kids about just how real um, our Heavenly Father is, and just how real heaven is. And
Yeah.
like, there's no need to be fearful of death. Just so many things we've learned through having Mika.
Oh,
Yeah,
that is beautiful. I was like, yeah, I
yeah,
can, yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think that's
yeah,
beautiful. Vanette, this has been such a beautiful conversation. I want to make sure that we've covered everything. Anything else that you would like to talk about of Mika? Anything that we might have missed? Because I was like, we don't get to talk about babies that get born alive a lot of times, and so there's a bit more.
yeah.
And I'm so glad that we were able to talk about her life. So,
Yay. I loved talking about her. I could talk about her all day. So I don't know if I've been talking too much.
oh no, no, this is
I think
great.
you asked before about the service that we had for
Yes,
her.
yes, yeah, I did.
Yeah. I had never been to like a baby's funeral
Oh yeah,
service
yeah.
before, and like most people probably haven't. But we did some bubble blowing, which I
Mm,
think is
yes,
so cute, and I
so
think
sweet.
it's a common thing. They also had the option of butterfly release,
Hmm.
which we were going to do, but then they couldn't get the butterflies hatched
Oh,
for the
in
day.
yes,
So
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. So we did bubble blowing, and Marky and I both went up and we told our story, or just Mika's story. We told Mika's life
Yeah.
story to everybody, because I think everyone kind of knows or
Right.
hears from each other, but no one really knows the depth of, like our story with encountering God,
Yeah.
and Maki having his vision and how it actually really started. So it was really special to share that with everyone,
Yeah.
and get to give glory to God for this, even though it's a very sad occasion. It's also a very joyful one that, like, we didn't lose our daughter. Um, we it's not a loss.
Yes.
For us, it's a win that she doesn't have to live in a cruel world, and that she gets to be safe with our Heavenly Father, with Jesus so soon, and that like we get to be with her. Like it's something exciting for us to look forward to. So yeah, it was special to share our story like that. And I made a little pictorial tribute, which is almost like the one I sent you, like all the
Uh-huh.
photos
Yeah.
I sent you. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So did anybody else speak at her funeral?
Just the pastor. And we had my dad do a scripture reading,
Oh.
and one of my brother-in-laws also did one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I didn't think about asking other people to speak, but yeah, I don't.
That's perfect
I,
though. I think that like being for you and Amarki to talk about who she was and her story and kind of that testament of like, yeah, God's hand in your life. I just think that probably was a really beautiful service, really special service
yeah,
for everybody.
yeah, it was. Yeah, and it really was like us sharing her testimony for her,
Hmm.
like because she doesn't have a voice and she can't share it with
Yeah.
everyone. So we got to do that for her, and it was so special.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's special that her testimony was able to be fulfilled almost, like that we didn't decide to terminate the pregnancy and um not get all of these special moments with her.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine what my life would be like if we had made the other decision.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a bit of regret.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems so joyous. I don't know. I just think it just makes me happy. It makes me smile to hear of the time that you got with her and the impact that she's made on your lives. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And so many other people have come. I don't share this on social media or anything, but my church invited me to share our testimony last year, end of last year. And so I just shared Mika's story and how God has been with us, and how, it's not, this is not the typical miracle story that
yeah.
people expect. But she is a miracle, and we have had a miracle in the amount of miracle peace, like supernatural miracle peace that we have, um, to just like not be in a dark place and to still continue our lives with joy, and to have not blamed anybody for it. And like we feel a lot of closure for it. There's
Mm,
not unanswered questions, which we're so grateful for,
yeah.
that we have this peace and joy, and we can remember her for beautiful little Mika that she is.
That is wonderful. I think that is wonderful. Vanette, thank you again so much for sharing Mika with us and sharing your testimony and um, bringing such a joyful spirit to my morning. Honestly, I feel uplifted hearing her story. So thank you so much again.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, of course.